Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. I have the pleasure to invite and introduce the next speaker that we have. Um, all of us here are here because we are interested in and open source software. Maybe we have contributed, maybe we have created, maybe we maintain and open source software. And one of the things that I think all of us rely on, but it's not clear to me how many of us understand this and actually internalize it, is how much we rely on the existing legal judicial system, right? Uh, Free and open source software is built on and the social contract that we have is built on the licenses that we use, right? Like whether it's a permissive license like MIT or a copyleft license like GPL, or all of us rely on the licenses and the fact that these licenses can be enforceable, right? Are enforceable, and if we need to, and there have been cases where the free and open source software ecosystem has had to, we've had to rely on the judicial ecosystem to be able to enforce the licenses that we have to ensure that the social contract that we are built on top of uh, stays together. Uh, why all of us rely on this ecosystem? I don't know how many of us actually understand this ecosystem. I don't know how many of us are able to appreciate the perspective of the judicial ecosystem. It is quite important for us to understand how intellectual property works. It's important for us to understand how the judicial ecosystem looks at free and open source software. In that respect, it is my pleasure to introduce retired Judge Yasindra Singh. He is a senior advocate in the Supreme Court, and he was retired judge of the Allahabad and the Chhattisgarh High Court. He was instrumental in getting free and open source software adopted by the Allahabad High Court and the Chhattisgarh High Courts. He's also been a prolific speaker and an advocate for free and open source software in the judicial system. He's given multiple talks both within the legal system in India and also within the free and open source software and software ecosystems in India, trying to ensure that this gap that might exist between the technical space and the judicial ecosystem does not exist. Personally, it's great to hear from voices who have been deeply embedded within an ecosystem and how they have, independent of us, right, independent of the FOSS community, been able to drive an option. I don't know how many people know this, but the judiciary in the country is one of the largest adopters of free and open source software. So in that sense, my pleasure to invite Vidayak Yatinder Singh. Sir, please say the values.
E E D E E D T E E Namaste and a very good afternoon. And in front of all these cornered, one of the most brilliant people, I am a lawyer. And if you don't get vision anywhere, you get vision involved. So I'm nervous. So if I stammer, if I stutter, or if I forget something, do excuse. Linux, read General Public License. GPL is a cancer to whatever it touches. So declared C. Bonner in the beginning of the century. He was the CEO of Microsoft. But within 20 years, Microsoft had to feed its words. In 2020, in a conference at MIT, Brad Smith, the president and the chief counsel of Microsoft, said, "We are on the wrong side of the history, but open source was exploding at the turn of a century. Today, Microsoft, well, let's see certain areas, is the biggest contributor to open source. Bigger than Google, bigger than Facebook, bigger than Apache, and bigger than almost anything else if you can imagine. In this year, US Federal Agency, they carried out a statistics, a survey, and they said 6% of the people who visited their website, they have Linux network. Stat counter, the web analytic company says 5% of the people visiting US, they happen to have Linux desktop. I don't know if this kind of a survey is undertaking in our country or not. It could take it. And this to be sort of further broken down that how many of them from which sector, believe me, shun the hood, or the most of it would be from Indian judiciary and Indian judicial officers. But before I tell you how this revolution really happened, let me tell you how the courts in India are being computerized. See, every high court, every higher court has a computer committee. The computer committee of Supreme Court sort of computerizes Supreme Court. The High Court computer committees, they computerize the High Court as well as district courts. In Allahabad, it was formed somewhere in the mid 1980s and started working with UP Desco, a nodal agency uh, that was providing IT and IT-enabled services in the state. Well, the Allahabad High Court started working in computerization. In 1990, some technical courses were allotted, so slightly sped up. In mid 1990s, the government of India decided to computerize the boards, and they started working through National Informatics Center, NICE. In 2004, the government of India formed an E-committee, lay down the guidelines and the policies for computerizing the courts. Now, it also works through NICE. Now, all three of them, they worked together. But somehow, the differences arise. At the turn of the century, the all courts, NIC, government to take their courts, were new proprietary software. But at the turn of the century, the Allahabad High Court decided to go FOSS. And there we fought it. And slowly, we turned them around. And this is a story that I'm going to tell you about. I purchased my first computer in 1990, desktop. It was Zenith. Zenith was the first brand of desktop that came to India. I don't know, many of you remember. And there used to be 6 months waiting. I mean, you had to wait 6 months to get a desktop. And I got it. And I became a judge on 5th of February 1999. And I purchased 4 more. Total, I have 5 computers. My first one was on DOS. I kept on updating them. And I also, in between, experiment with OS2 Warp Connect. Just raise your hand. How many of you heard about OS2 Warp Connect? Just raise your hand. Oh, one. Okay. OS2 Warp Connect was an IBM graphical operating system for personal computer. It was much better than Build. But had IBM were not so stupid to give everything to Microsoft, you would be working in also Work Connect. It's a much superior one. So I experimented with that. I experimented with Linux, but then there was no technical help with these two in Allahabad, so I stuck to Windows. When I became a judge, I realized that we have more desktops in the iPod than we had licenses for. And that's an office. State or UB wouldn't give us the money. They didn't have a budget for that. It's so expensive. So justification given to me was that at a given time, less number of MS Office suite are open than we had licenses. Uh, this is absurd. You can't have one licensed software more than at one laptop. This is wrong. Illegal. High Court was doing something wrong. High Court must be corrected. And I didn't have to wait long because solution was already there. Before I became a judge, High Court had purchased a computer. There was some kind of a detect, some bias here and there. And High Court didn't pay the money. The supplier was actually begging us, he settled the matter. As a matter of settlement, he offered to give us more desktops. And he said that if you buy a Linux desktop, we'll get it to give you 1.5 times more. Now, this was a golden opportunity. With 1.5 times more Linux desktop, we could give one computer in every office, in every chamber, in every portal with our High Court, and I like it. And we installed. We were, but it was not a very easy job. You know, our office was used to Windows, MS Office Suite. Sometimes they will not put on the printer light and they would say that printer is not working, is PLX stop. Sometimes the connection would be loose. It would not print a page. Let me test that. It was this. All kinds of problems they could create for us. But our computer center did an excellent job, remove all their doubts, and slowly and but surely, everyone started realizing the importance of Linux. It was cheap, it was stable, it was virus-free, and the best part was there were no computer games. A distraction for our office staff. When I used to go to office, they were playing games. Solitaire. I don't know how many you remember. Solitaire was a cards game, And they would make them as what are you doing? You should be working. They would do that. And the judges and the employees were their kids were into the desktop and they play computer games. I don't know how many of you play Prince. It was one of the biggest hooker of the games of that time. Well, almost everybody, even I was open to it. I played Prince. So they started requesting us, please install Linux in our paper. And we gladly did it. Because they wanted their kids, wait away their kids from us. So this happened around about 2000 at a turn of century. 21st century started in the 1st of Jan 2001. Not 1st of Jan 2000, as many who think. So at the turn of the century, we were the first court in the country to have Linux. We had Fedora, we had the operating system, we had OpenOffice, that's a word processing, and Firefox. It didn't stop there. FOSS made further inroads in Lava. You see, at that time, all websites were managed by LIs. Is there an NIC people here? Any NIC sympathizer? The other was a prominent people in Myanmar. They don't know anything about it. And we would ask them, they used to manage our data, they used to manage our website, and we tell them, here's a report of this kind. Sorry. I said, should we change our website? Sorry, we can't Google. This is the way the Supreme Court wants to. We can't help. To my foot, we are not subordinate to Supreme Court. And they would not be good. And they were the most incompetent people I've ever come across. I thought I knew more about computers than them. They can. One fine day, we decided to do away with the problem. We sent a proposal to the state government. They sanctioned us the money, and we established a server in our port. And about 2003, 2004, and we're the first court in the country to have our own server. This server is stored in our premises. It is on Red Hat Enterprise version. And our all data, this is managed by, it is, web server is an Apache Tomcat. Now, Apache Tomcat HTTP is a technical term that you'll understand what that will be. I don't know, but probably the Tomcat is when you can build the Python programs into it, something on this kind, I don't know. And all our data is being managed by MySQL, Postgres, and Linux Aura. We were the first court also in the country to have our website and our servers on a Linux server. I remember that they used to come to me and they wanted to establish a Windows server, and I just throw away the pies. I got signed it. Till they got me a proposal for a Linux server, and then I signed it. We were the first court anywhere in the world to implement RSSP technology for our important judgments and for our administrative positions. It's something very common now. When I told my computer staff and IC staff, we have to implement RSSP technology, they said, RSSP? What is that? So I explained to them what is RSSP. Of course, once I explained to them, they implemented it. And I see people will know where about. But don't think our computer center and I see people were idiots. In 2006, there was a global conference of Sun Microsystem in University in Bangalore, the IT capital there. The people all over the world were here, and I was invited to give a talk on FOSS. And this was a very serious talk. It was a kind of off interaction between intellectual property rights and FOSS. Very serious talk. And when I did tell something about our website, about the teeth, and after I finished my talk, you were aware for the first question they asked me. What is RSSP? This, Global Contents of Sun Microsystem. They don't know RSSP? Of course, I explained to them. But this is something very new. And the second question I remember was, they asked me, what is the difference between free software and open source? I'm just going to tell you that was a time when the concepts were not clear. These are two different things. We talk about FOSS, but FOSS and open source are slightly different. FOSS contains FOSS, free software, but free software doesn't contain something of this kind. So I explained to them. There was some very serious question about it. But I just told you the difference, what kind of era it was. Let's talk about how at that time, of course, Western country was using Windows. Our fight with the EPAM. Now, I'm sorry. We liked FOSS so much that he adopted as a policy. At that time, there used to be a frequently asked question page which was linked to the website. It is no longer linked, but if you set FAQ, you will still find it there. And look what this FAQ said. Would somebody from the audience like to read it for me? Would anyone like to read it for me? Would anyone from art please read it loudly? Top of your voice. Here it is.
What I would ask people the policy represent to open efforts within websites and its spirit by
Thank you. This is on our website, and believe me, we were the first government organization anywhere in the world. Again, I repeatedly say anywhere in the world to openly declare that open standards and open source is ours. At that time, every website said we look best on Internet Explorer. We were the first one to say we look best in file. Let's see how we influence the. See, 2006, 2007, the government of India thought that every district court should have a desktop, court tool. So they gave a local tender, blah, blah, blah. They one fine day, and they decided the pilot project to give one desktop to every court in a district where the high court was situated as a pilot project or where the bench was. So in UP, it meant Allahabad and Ba. So they did it one fine day, and I man comes to me, sir, we're going to computerize your district courts. Can you solve? They had no time provision, blah, blah, blah. As the legal language goes, all the formalities, user formalities, like it like. I said, hey, good. Yeah, sure. Why are the what kind of software are you using? The Windows. The Windows. Oh, I can't accept it. So why? I said, it's against our policy. We'll not accept Windows desktop. And can you imagine this? But nothing can go wrong with Windows. Why you don't want to accept? I said, it's against our policy. And then I see people became very angry with me. And they said, okay, if you won't accept them, your state will be backward. You will not be computerized. That's a trade is never given to a judge. Where we have undone power, central chair. I controlled myself and said, okay, don't worry. I prefer not to be computerized than to go against our policy. And UB maybe whatever the state UB may be, is politically is the strongest state in our country. Almost every prime minister, except for one or two, happens to be from UP. Even Narendra Modi thought better to stand election from UP to become prime minister, and most of them happen to be from Dhaba. So Ilhara can't be ignored. So ultimately, marte kya na kehte. The ultimate hero really came back thinking, all right, so we will give you the next laptop. And they gave Linux laptop to us and Windows laptop to rest of the guys. Now the experience of Linux desktops in state and Windows laptops in the rest of the country was vastly different. They realized that Linux laptops were much cost superior in core tools that Windows had. So in 2009, E-Committee decides to give a laptop to every judicial courts. And again, without post consulting need, they decided to give a one laptop to everyone on a Linux laptop. Correct decision. So the chairman of the Justice Bharucha, he called me, we are getting, yati, you sort of are very instrumental in all this. They are criminal, this of that. I looked into it, showed me the laptop. And that laptop has a very fundamental problem. Neither anybody in the NIC nor anybody in the uh, E committee had ever worked on a Linux laptop or Linux. They didn't know the problems of these ones. Now you can't play music in a Linux desktop and laptop. You can't play a video on a Linux desktop. It's a all proprietary software. You can't play YouTube there unless you have a special plugin installed there. Those plugins were not installed. So these laptops could never play any music. You could never see any video. You could never see any picture. You could never go on YouTube. क्या है तो useless laptops हैं absolutely useless. You laptops are part of you want to see a picture, you want to see this, and then sometimes you see certain pictures which you don't want to see in public. In private, you see them, you know, that kind of a thing. You can't see them. What's the great point of having this kind of laptop? Useless. Second problem used to be in the ones, they had a very, very complicated password. One mistake, and it used to happen. Well, call again, you call an expert to remove that defect. And then again, the third problem used to be, when it used to close down, it used to encrypt the entire data, and it used to open, it would sort of decrypt it. That takes such a long time that one would walk, sleep. He refused to accept this laptop. They were not going to accept this laptop. Take that. They say, oh, yeah, we have already purchased, they invested so much money. Why don't you customize your own CD and do it? So we customized CD, removed all these debates, everything was all right. And so far as our judicial officers were concerned, they were very happy. But many of the states' judicial officers were not happy with his laptop. And they forced the High Court to change the operating system to Windows, which they did. Now, NIC and E committee had their own experience of the laptop and a desktop in our state and the rest of the country. And about 2012, 13, 14, they realized that FOSS is a much better one. And they started recommending Ubuntu. Had they asked me, I would have said that the next minute. But they started doing it to Ubuntu. LibreOffice as the word processor, and Apache HTTP as a web server. This is what they recommend. Let's see, it happened more than a decade ago. Let's see what's the position here. All host websites, they happen to be on a Linux server, Apache HTTP. All code sites are managed by the hub ports. They are on the NIC server, except that Allahabad High Court, which is its own server in our court premises. All desktops in district courts, they happen to be on Ubuntu. And all laptops of a judicial officer, except for Delhi, they give money to their judicial officer. You purchase a laptop of their choice. They are on Ubuntu. Some of them are dual boot because some people, they want to have Dragon voice recognition system at that time. It was very prevalent. Of course, it's no longer necessary. Now, almost everything can be converted into Google gives you that kind of service. But 99, most of them, HiPod and higher post on a mixed bag. All courtrooms, desktops in Supreme Court are on Ubuntu. Most of the high courts, they are on Ubuntu, except for some so-called forward states like Karnataka. Karnataka uses Windows, high courts, Kerala, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, they have Windows. The rest of the high court, they use Ubuntu, but I think they are the forward courts. These high courts are the backward court, is still stuck in the Windows. And but thank God, the word processing is LibreOffice. So at least some open source software they're using. So far as judges are concerned, of a higher court is their choice. Nobody touches. You choose your own bhaiya laptop. You choose your desktop or your stuff, and everybody wants you have a, Apple laptop. It's a big snob value. I don't know how many of you go to Starbucks to have a cup of coffee. You don't go to Starbucks to have a cup of coffee with a deluxe laptop. You have to kick out. Nobody goes to the Starbucks with a Windows top. People to Starbucks, Eddie. A laptop, iPad, iPod. So there you work. You would have a desktop fee and you work. That's a snob can do. So judges do have, basically they have Apple laptop and their staff mostly has their door. Some of them have the bureaucrats, some of them have and this choice. Very little of them. But majority of the courts, majority of the officers are using FOSS. Now, many people, when I meet to, when Berlin was going open source way, there was a conference and I went there. When there was a conference at South Africa, Pretoria, I was there. There was a conference at Brazil. I couldn't go there because the chief didn't give me the permission, so I couldn't go. So, and I was there. People kept on asking me when I used to give my talk. They used to ask me, "Yeah, how come you bought with the e-committee? You took a risk. Why did you do that? Was it economy? Was it the money reason? Was the stability? Was the virus the reason?" I said, "This is not only this, but it's much more." Then what's that? And I said, in the beginning of the last century, a semi-clad Indian rose up against the British Empire. Churchill called him Naked Pakir. And his philosophy was means are more important than the end. Without objections, upon means are means, yeah, it's the end that matters. He would say means are everything. And his philosophy is a very deep rooted in law area. Lord Denning was one of the greatest judges of the last century. In 1979, in Westminster case, this is what he said. Would somebody like to read it for me? Read it not for me, for all of us. Please, just read it loudly.
So, no important and the a RSS, IRC, expertise, that's what peace and relatives. But it is fundamental in our law that the weights that are adopted should be adopted with the good man does not justify baggage.
See, in the IT world, N is storage, dissemination, and retrieval of information. Means are software, formats, status. They are the good. If you don't have them, you will never come to a good end. That was one of the reasons why we adopt. Yes, do I have females more? Oh, okay, sure. Let me explain to you what's a story. And that would be end because I was told the beep will come and you have to stop. So I asked, it's a very old story, come from Panchtan. It is a common thread in all cultures and it is part of the Aesop pages also. It's a story of a hare and tortoise. There were great friends. One fine day, over a drink, tortoise said, let's have a race. Okay, why prevail? Let's have a race. They held a race. Hare obviously took the lead. And after some time, he fought with the best. And he went off to sea. Tortoise came slowly and crossed the line. And from the moral of the story is, slow but steady wins the race. That's how the Panchtantra story ends. That's how the Aesop tables end. But in modern times, few more chapters are added to it. Here was obviously very angry with him. Why did he go off to sleep? And says, okay, just place again. And this time he did not rest. He did not go off to sleep and won the race in GP. Moral of this chapter is it's good to be quick, it's good to be fast. And he was drunk with his victory. Ah, I had bungers. I had bungers. And the tortoise one day suggested, let's have a race again. I sure. Can I choose the course? Ah, choose whatever you want. I had no difficulty. And this time tortoise chose a course which included a river. Hare came very fast up to the river and stopped it. And he didn't know how to swim, and he stood there. Tortoise again came, swam across the road, won it. Moral of this chapter is everyone has got a weak points, everyone has got a strong points. Consolidate strong points. Here was very perturbed that he lost the race. How to win the race again? What to do? कैसे जीतें race? कैसे अपनाएं tortoise को? And troubled all the time. They were great friends, you know. Tortoise is also very good. Yeah, my good friend. These somehow you're not enjoying the way he believes being the pod. So he suggested that's have a race there. For the same course. Yeah, that's a great point. Yes, I don't know. He says we shake the matter with this. Okay. But this time the method of race was changed. The hare, the tortoise was on the back of the hare till the river. Quickly reached it. On the river, it was a hare on the come of the process. So both of them finished the race very quickly. It was very enjoyable. And the crux moral of this chapter is consolidate your strong points. And that's what FOSS, open standard, open formats do. And FOSS is exactly FOSS does something, which again I would like someone from the audience to read. Would someone read it loudly? Please. Loudly. That's the way this is a crux of it all. Please give a microphone for it. Read it loudly. That's a crux of my entire talk.
Consolidates strong points, prevents hoarding of technology, invites others to participate in its development, it's make love not war in a typical way, and are key to the future.
That's the reason why we fought with the EPP. That's the reason why they adopted POS. And I very strongly believe they are future teachers. And this particular line is make love not war. It's not mine. One thing that mine. Originality is never original. It's always copy. How many of you read Lewis Forward's biography, autobiography? Biography of a revolutionary. Please read. Please read it. It's one of the most inspiring books that I have read. He did it. He sort of released lyrics when he was still a student. It's a fantastic one. And this particular line is a made love, not war, in a typical way. This line, particular point, has been taken from there. And thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to do about it. And I must admit, I say a word that I not come and speak, and I saw the topic. I said, my topic is almost out of place. Hey. But then Shri, he insisted that I should come. That's why I'm here. And I'm glad I'm here. I was able to visit some of my relatives here, some of my friends here. And I see the Mela on each side. Thank you so much. Jai Hind. Oh, yeah, please, please. Any question, I would love to. If you don't ask me the question, I would think it probably my job was useless. If you don't ask me a single question.
Isso. Sim. Sim.
Well, that's a Murphy's law. If a thing can go wrong, it will go wrong. That's exactly happened with that line.
Thank you for the presentation. It was so fantastic. And for me, it's more like a story daily that I heard about FOSS code, especially in the Rahabad code. We come from a complaints background, FOSS complaints background. So FOSS, we see what FOSS is because of all these events, how it explain it's growing very fast. But still, why complaints is never taken parallelly? It's not growing as parallelly FOSS is growing, the contributions that happening. So what's your point of view on this? Compliance in the sense the licenses, its bombs, CERT has recently came up, SEBI has came up, all those things. Why?
No. No, I tell you the problem with the Linux. 3 years ago, I've been for the last about 20 years, I've been using 10 key or 25 years, I've been using Linux laptop. I work on a Linux laptop and I purchased 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I purchased a Dell laptop because Dell is a OT company which sends you a Linux laptop. I purchased it, it's with warranty, and I used to upgrade the licenses. The answer it is okay. I was sort to stop. Okay, so I went I went to Dial Air and Dell repair shop. I said, please connect it. And the next laptop, I come to it. I said to them, what are you taking so much money from me? 11,000 rupees. I can't bear it. I said, is there any Dell shop in the entire national capital region which can do it? Sorry. Not a single shop in the entire national capital region. I said, is there anybody in national capital region which can repair my laptop? Sorry, there isn't. I said, am I stuck with this laptop? Yes, that license. And I, of course, I like of my with I Allahabad me. Okay, okay. I said like I said Arindam name. I said Arindam, yeah. This is what these guys are say. Just okay, put the video over it. He put the video on. He just just write down these command, and within 2 or 3 minutes, the problem was sorted. In the entire northern India, I'm again saying, if there is yacht from northern India, there's something of big shade. The Allahabad High Court has a finest help of course. Not Triple IQ Allahabad, not IIT Kanpur, it's Allahabad. And it's so simple, dude. Had he not been there, if I was not a chairman of the computer committee, had I not known them so well, uh, uh, I would have left it. I have liberty. I would have taken this. Problem is this: you have all kinds of licenses. You mentioned MIT. I think MIT is license is similar to BS. Basically, BSD is more common than the MIT. But generally, you see that GPO is it copy less software to the most extreme, BSD little less. And most of the softwares today are released in a dual. Like Android is in dual. I think it's in Mozilla or Apache. One is Apache mostly, and the second one is BSD. And that's why. So you can do even important. Apple is again it taken up off of the Unix, which is basically BSD. So licenses are not a problem. Basically, the problem lies kind of a mindset. Like I tell you, you ask anybody, oh, what the Empire Apple laptop? I have an iPhone. I have this, not Delhi. That's me. I don't think licenses are very key concern. Oh, put on the button.
And but there are a number of organizations who have faced legal issues, who have done out of court settlements before. Some of them were not able to provide the attribution properly for pay rights, or the license text not being distributed, even with the GPO.
Next time it happens, you say, you get some piece also.
I'll get
Okay, okay. No problem. There's no problem. In fact, ultimately, it is used to be think that GPO is just the contractual. I think in one of the court cases, ultimately, advocating the case where he had a model railway system. And ultimately, they say that GPL is a copyright. In fact, uh, the all the licenses of the open source or the free software are protected by the copyrights and as well as the contractual. Contractual rights also, like when you download a particular software, there's a contract between you and this and copyright. But not so far the proprietary software. Proprietary software is not protected by copyright. That's generally protected by, generally I'm saying, protected by KC.